Welcome back. The FBI arresting Air National Guardsman Jack Teixeira in Massachusetts yesterday for allegedly leaking those classified national defense information documents online. The 21-year-old suspect will be in court later today. He faces espionage charges. President Biden finally broke his silence on this leak yesterday. Watch.
You're concerned about the leak?
Well, I'm not concerned about the leakages, and I'm concerned that it happened. But there's nothing contemporaneous that I'm aware of that is of great consequence.
Joining me right now is Newsweek opinion editor and host of the Josh Hammer Show. Josh Hammer is here. Josh, good to see you. What do you make of this whole story playing out and Joe Biden's reaction?
Maria, great to be with you as always. So I guess my first reaction, which is probably shared, I would imagine, by many other Americans, is very simple and straightforward, which is, how the hell does this possibly happen? I mean, this is a 21-year-old young man. This is not someone who has been a career kind of intelligence community, a career kind of IC deep state figure, kind of deep within the bowels of the federal government for decades. This is a 21-year-old man who was living in a fairly rural part of Massachusetts. I mean, it is just inexplicable, frankly, how this happens. I mean, I read the story, last night. I was kind of reviewing the whole Washington Post breakdown, this Discord messaging chat, this guy who went by the initials OG, apparently. How did he physically walk out of these skips with these physical documents? I mean, apparently he creased them up. He would fold it over twice, probably put it in his jacket pocket. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that you would think that a Hollywood screenwriter, if he were to write it and submit it to a producer, would get laughed out of the building. So I just don't understand how this happens, and I would like to know what precautions might be put into place to prevent it from happening in the future.
Well, I mean, it's all extraordinary. You can write all of this in a Hollywood movie. I mean, now you've got a whistleblower out talking about President Biden knowing all about Hunter Biden and his influence peddling. You saw the stenographer the other day basically say, yeah, there were crimes committed here. And yet we've got all of this focus on Donald Trump. We've got a new report saying that Democrats are picking New York Congressman and former Trump impeachment lawyer Dan Goldman to lead their defense against the Republicans' field hearing. That field hearing next week in New York City. And the crime, Alvin Bragg on Monday, Goldman putting out this statement, quote, Chairman Jordan is not welcome in my district for this political stunt that is simply a further waste of taxpayer money to support Donald Trump's legal defense. So, Josh, you've got all of this noise around this hearing, Jim Jordan's hearing, New York trying to push back on it, even in the face of this influence peddling in plain sight, with now another whistleblower, the stenographer, saying that he was there, knew that President Biden knew all about Hunter Biden's business dealings on Air Force Two while Joe Biden was vice president.
There's a certain amount of kind of poetic justice, in a sense, right? That Dan Goldman, who, of course, was formerly involved in the Trump impeachment, or at least the second round of the Trump impeachment, is yet again involved here in this ludicrous, legally meritless, and politically profoundly imprudent political persecution of the former president, Donald J. Trump. And I say it's poetic justice because it really kind of just underscores and encapsulates the fact that this is not about whatever 34 counts Alvin Bragg in the Manhattan D.A.'s office has purported to put down in that very frivolous indictment document that we all saw a week and a half, 2 weeks ago or so. This is not about any of that whatsoever. This is pure Stalinism. I don't know how else to say it. I mean, Stalin infamously said, show me the man and I will show you the crime. Or someone, of course, in his KGB, I forgot exactly who it was who said that. But that is a Stalin-esque view of the rule of law. It is obviously a dystopian view of the rule of law. And the fact that there are some former actors from the Trump impeachment here just underscores the fact that literally going back to Carter Page and Mike Flynn and their surveillance of the 2016 Trump campaign, this has all along been about getting Trump no matter how you possibly can. That has been the only thing that has motivated various swaths of the institutional left, from the Department of Justice all the way down right now to the Manhattan DA's office, for the past 7 years now. And, Maria, I don't live in New York. I know that you do. I mean, this is not a friendly jurisdiction, but if there is any modicum of justice whatsoever there in that particular jury pool, then I have to imagine that this thing is going to get dismissed for any number of reasons. But I suppose we shall see.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, people are onto this 2 tiers of justice. The average person sees this and says, this is just not fair. You've got a new article out this morning discussing the recent pushback against what you call woke overreaches. You point to the reaction to Bud Light's transgender marketing campaign. You write, perhaps Anheuser-Busch will see the folly of its ham-fisted attempt to foist the transgender agenda down the throats of its disapproving customer base. Tell us more. This has just been an outrageous story. To see this person celebrating 365 days of womanhood and basically mocking women the way that she did. Oh, what's March Madness, etc. I mean, give me a break.
Yeah, give me a break indeed. You know, look, Maria, I have had more friends just text me or email me out of the blue about the story, more like generally apolitical friends who, unlike you or I, are not involved in this thing day to day, who don't necessarily get super bogged down in the daily news cycle or not kind of glued to cable news or social media or things like that. I have had so many friends who are just good run-of-the-mill Americans who have texted me. One of my oldest friends from childhood texted me soon after the story broke. He was like, you know, lifelong Bud Light customer, never going to buy their product again. And the numbers right now vindicate that. Obviously, Anheuser-Busch and InBev, their stock has taken a severe tumble over the past couple of weeks when it comes to their market cap. You know, in my column, I note that John Rich, who's a very well-known country star, has announced that his popular bar in downtown Nashville, Tennessee, where I actually just was earlier this week to give a talk, his bar is going to stop selling Bud Light. He said it was formerly the best-selling beer. The customers just don't want it. But, you know, the more innocent view, I think, of what Alyssa Heinerscheid, the vice president of marketing for Bud Light, the more innocent view is that this is kind of just a simple kind of anodyne misreading of the customer base. The more pernicious view, which I think is actually the more accurate view, is it's basically what you read there. I think this is an attempt to literally force down the gullet of a disapproving customer base, a tendentious and unpopular social and cultural agenda. But the pushback is real, and that is a sign of optimism and encouragement for me, I think.
Yeah, you make great points in the piece, Josh. Thanks very much for being here. We'll keep watching that story. You've got women burning their bras on Instagram and on TikTok right now in reaction to Nike using that same person to push their bras, sports bras for women. Josh Hammer, thanks very much. We'll see you soon, Josh.
Anytime.